And we're back for another Walking Dead review, this time episode 13, folks. And man, Warlords, shall I add the title here. As you know, here, no spoilers, just ready to get you hyped for this week's episode of The Walking Dead. Now, of course, everybody, we've heard the news come out as of March 10th about the new Walking Dead spinoff here, The Owl of the Dead, which is going to feature Maggie and Negan, which I love this announcement, but I hate the timing because now it pretty much lets us know that these two characters are going to be okay. And it's not that we want anything to happen to them, but it's like, I like the idea and the unpredictability of, well, at any given time, something may happen to them. And that's really it's one of the exciting elements of The Walking Dead, is that major characters could be gone at any given time. So now we know at least 4 characters are going to be here for the long run, and that's Maggie, Negan, Daryl, and Carol. You know what I mean? And so, you know, with this announcement coming in the middle of the season, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that, but hey, you know, bad timing, exciting news. But with this episode, months have passed and our heroes are settling to the concept and the routine of the Commonwealth. So you got folks that are in the Commonwealth doing good, and then you got folks at Hilltop still riding with Maggie, but at the same time, some people are a little indecisive in their decisions. So people are changing their minds and kind of contemplating the idea of being with Maggie is so good, if it's really is the way to go. And again, I said it before that, you know, in being with Maggie, it's a lot of the reputation of like survival, but you go to Commonwealth, you start to get the old glimpse of the old world. So, you know, it's interesting. But in this episode, we do see a couple of crazy things that happen. First of all, this episode is fantastic. Like, I will say it's a little all over the place. And it's exciting and it's nuts because you have timelines in this episode kind of jumping around. So like you see something in the beginning and then you see how it all comes about at the end, and then there's flashbacks. There's a whole bunch of different things happening. So you have to pay attention to detail so you can make sure you understand exactly what's happening. So there's a lot of jumps within this episode, and like, you know, moving in the timeline, and well, it's a unique way to tell a story, but it's done really well. So I love this. This was a very exciting episode, and I'm definitely going to watch this back again. But yeah, we see early in this episode a shot at romance. It looks like somebody's out here trying to seal the deal with somebody, and they're going to take a shot bright and early. We'll see how that plays out. And I'm actually for it. I'm not going to say who we're talking about here, but I'm actually for it. But while everything seems to be kind of whatever, seems to be some new trouble landing on Hilltop steps, which this now makes further decision making come into play, where you had folks that were potentially going to leave Hilltop were saying like, well, actually I'm gonna stay because I want to figure out what is going on and help this random person who appears at their gates hurt, injured, potentially dying, or maybe is dead. And now this forces Maggie hand. And this forces all of them to decide what they're going to do to help this person, to go outside the gates to figure out what's going on. And like I said, now some people may say like, maybe I'm not going to go to Commonwealth. Maybe I'm going to stick around and see what's happening, because that's kind of what the MO with these people are, is that they stick together when something is happening. But when things are just kind of normal, that's when they start to get bored. And then people start to say like, I'm going to go do my own thing. So there's that. So yeah, it's the matter of helping this unknown person. And of course they're going to go do it. But, you know, Maggie's whole philosophy with the Commonwealth is that, well, let's remember her lifestyle beforehand. She was a girl on a farm. And so being isolated was kind of her thing. She also doesn't trust the Commonwealth because they've never been they've never been tested in 10 years. So the question is, well, what happens when they get their first fight? What are they going to do? Everybody else has been battle tested. So they know they can survive. They know they're about this life. And that's where Maggie kind of isn't buying in. But again, I think when you think a lot about her past, I think it's just always suited her to kind of be out on her own in isolated territories and whatnot. So in the Commonwealth, it just has a bunch of people. And yeah, it reminds her of the old world, but not the old world that she wants, you know? So it's a lot of pros and cons, whether you're Hilltop, whether you're on Commonwealth, and everybody's trying to make the decision what's best for them, you know? Meanwhile, Aaron and Gabriel are doing pretty good at the Commonwealth. However, they are sent on a mission alongside of a character, Toby Carlson, who has a very, very, very interesting background. And I gotta say, this episode, wow. Things get crazy. I did not see this coming from nowhere, folks. And I gotta say, if you're a fan of Snowfall and in my Snowfall reviews, this character reminds me of Teddy. And if you know Teddy, then I'm just gonna leave it at that. But like I said, Aaron and Gabriel just settling in the Commonwealth good. Gabriel's preaching. Aaron is just kind of came off of his edge that we kind of seen early in this season. He seemed to be kind of normalizing again. But now their whole goal is in terms of the communal project. So going out to recruit other towns, communities, whatever it may be. Which, well, we all know it was always going to be just more than that. Like, yeah, we felt all the suspicion in the previous episodes. And now things are starting to come to light what's really their motives. And yeah, you'll see. But yeah, that now brings them to this new community called the Complex. Which, like I said, the Complex, it's not a bad place. I would stay there. I like their whole setup. There's definitely some badass people that live there. The weapons they have are pretty much down my alley in terms of what I would be out here using. And then their leader, their warlord, Ian, he definitely gives you badass vibes. He definitely gives you vibes of the past villains of The Walking Dead. And I'm not sure who the actor is that plays him, but oh boy. Talk about a performance. But yeah, with all of that, things are very creepy, very eerie, and things are not what they seem. Nothing can be trusted in this episode. And I gotta tell you, as much as I like this episode, this was the one episode that I was super disappointed at the ending because I wanted more right now. Like, usually you get to a point where it's like, oh, all right, cool, I can't wait till next week. This was the one that I needed the episode right now because it literally leaves in the height of everything going on and it gets crazy. But as I said, in this episode, events of this episode are happening all over the place. And I think it would have probably been better if they would have just let it play out concurrently. But I think it adds like an extra element of surprise by shuffling it up a little bit. But I think that's a very... I don't know. That's a very per person choice there. And I think for me, I probably would have wanted this to play out. But the fact that things were shuffled does make this episode stand outside of others, in this fashion. But hey, I don't have to tell you, this is a great episode. You definitely need to check it out. Warlords episode 13 of season 11. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this episode when you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews of The Walking Dead very soon.